I've lived in New Zealand now for 3 years, and here's 10 things they don't tell you about before you move to New Zealand.
So let's kick it off with our first thing. It's normal to not wear shoes.
This really threw me when I first came to New Zealand, and I saw so many people not wearing shoes in the supermarket, in shops, even in restaurants. That's just the Kiwi people. They're so chilled, so relaxed, and it's actually really nice being able to get out your car and not have any shoes on and walk into the supermarket and not feel like you're a homeless person.
No hate to homeless people.
Love you, homeless people.
Not wearing shoes has always been so normal to me. It was how I grew up, and I think it's because we live by the beach. It's a really beachy culture, but we love it, and we love raising guys to not wear shoes as well.
One of the things that I found really difficult when we moved here from London was that there's no Amazon or next day delivery. I thought this was just a norm, but clearly it's not.
Things take a long time to get delivered.
I just got Renata something for her birthday. I ordered it 2 weeks before to make sure that it came, and it arrived the day after her birthday. So make sure that you plan ahead.
When I moved to the UK, I found it so strange that they came to your table to pay. Because in New Zealand, you have to go up to pay. If you're finished eating at a cafe or even at a restaurant, you go up to pay when you're done, when you're ready to leave. And I didn't realize that this was unique to New Zealand.
I find it really strange that you have to walk up to the till to pay for your food at the end of your meal. You get used to it when you're here.
I personally love it because when you're finished eating and you're ready to leave, you can just get up and go. Whereas in other places where you have to wait to pay, sometimes the staff are busy, you end up waiting for a while, you can get impatient, especially me, because I'm a very impatient person. I really like this about New Zealand.
Number 4 is New Zealanders love birds. There is even a favourite bird of the year contest that goes on one of the biggest TV channels in New Zealand. And this is every single year. So whether you like the kakapo, or you like the tui, or the piwakawaka.
What's your favourite bird?
My favourite bird is a tui because their song is beautiful. It sounds like R2-D2.
When Josh and I were talking about this and filming this video, I really realised, yeah, we Kiwis love birds. If you're looking to buy a house or you're looking for a rental, it'll often be advertised with what birds you can see from the house or what birds you can hear. People love their birds.
They really do. So this brings me on to the 5th point, which is the culture of the Maori people. It is the indigenous people of New Zealand, and this is why with a lot of the bird life you hear names like piwakawaka, tui, and kereru. That is the Maori name. And this is all over the TV now, all in the news. And I think that it's such a great thing that they are bringing that culture out into the world and not hiding it like you do get in other countries.
It definitely makes me proud to be a New Zealander when I hear them speaking today or on the 6 o'clock news on the main TV channels. And everywhere you go, you can mostly see things in both languages, English and Te Reo, which I think is super cool. And I hope that that just continues to grow and become an even bigger presence here in New Zealand. Our next point we've spoken about in a previous video, but New Zealand's expensive. Petrol prices are expensive, supermarket food is really expensive, house prices are really expensive, rentals are really expensive.
Basically, everything is expensive here in New Zealand.
Technology is expensive.
Because it's so far away from everything in the world, if it's imported, it has such a long way to go to get to New Zealand that it just means that everything is going to be way more costly. In saying that, it doesn't offset all the great points of living in New Zealand, so don't let that put you off.
But come with spending money.
Definitely. And that also brings us on to the next point about getting here and getting away from here. Flights are crazy expensive and there's often not a lot of choice. Because New Zealand is so far away, like we said, it means that there aren't really that many options to get in and out. That also means that those flights are going to be expensive.
To kind of explain what we mean, when we lived in London, we'd buy a return flight back to Auckland and we'd pay around £600, which is very, very roughly about $1,200. Now, living in New Zealand, you can't get a flight to the UK for $1,200. Everyone that I know that would travel to Europe would be looking at paying at least $2,500. So even though you're doing the exact same flights but in reverse, they're so much more expensive from New Zealand, even when you take into consideration the exchange rate.
Something I think people definitely don't know about New Zealand is how big it is. I'll try and put a map up somewhere around here or here or here to show just how big New Zealand is, but roughly if you put the top of New Zealand at the top of Scotland and the UK, it would stretch all the way down to somewhere in Spain or Portugal. It's really big.
Also, there aren't that many roads. Coming from the UK where you have motorways, A roads, some of them could be called A1275, which shows how many there are. There's one motorway that goes from the top of the North Island to the bottom of the South Island called State Highway 1. And I always like to think that there's a roundabout at the top and a roundabout at the bottom, and then you can just go back up and back down. Often you're having to go through lots of different terrain, so you could be going around mountain ranges, which means that what you would think would be quite a short journey is actually going to take you 4, 5, 6 hours to drive. And on top of that, a lot of the roads aren't actually that great. The next point is that the petrol station food is really strange. I found it, yeah, it's super strange. I found it really weird going into a petrol station and there being a whole massive counter of pies, which is a New Zealand delicacy, pieces of chicken, and just a sausage, a cooked sausage that you can just pick up, eat it like that. And I just found that really strange and quite endearing, to be totally honest.
In case you're not familiar with the New Zealand pie, they're not the sweet pies or whatever kind of pies you have elsewhere. They're unique to New Zealand, right? Mince and cheese, steak and onion, mushroom, but they're like an on-the-go snack or meal. The other thing about the petrol station food is the coffee. Most of them have cafe quality coffee and it's really good. Definitely better than a lot of the coffees I had while living in London. And our final point about things you probably didn't know about New Zealand before coming here is that in New Zealand we like to say there's 2 degrees of separation between any 2 people that meet. The normal thing is 6 degrees of separation, but New Zealand is really tight-knit, there's not many of us, and everyone seems to know each other.
Even one of the telecom companies is called 2 Degrees, making fun of that. And it is so true. Anybody that we've met on holiday or just out and about outside of New Zealand and they're Kiwis, Renata can sit down with them and within 2 or 3 links, they probably know somebody who knows that person.
An example of 2 degrees of separation is that when I first moved to London, I got a job with a company over there. A girl in my training group went to a school where my auntie was a French teacher. Small world.
Yeah, really small world.
And that's our 10 things they don't tell you about moving to New Zealand video.
Just to let you know, New Zealand is the best place in the world, and make sure that you come here and let us know if you have any weird and wonderful things that you found about coming to New Zealand, and subscribe. P.S. New Zealand's so awesome.
Bye.
And here's 10 things they don't about New Zealand that I didn't know about. I've lived in New Zealand now for 3 years, and here's 10 things when you move to New Zealand.
Something that I've done my entire life, well, not...
Which is really weird. It's gonna take longer than I thought.
Something people
Definitely.
You don't even drink coffee.
And that's the end of 10 things.
And that's our 10 things that you probably didn't know about New Zealand, but you should know. That's not what it's called. What's it called? And that's the end of our 10 things they do.
And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit that bell.
Hit that bell.
Okay.